woman, releasing all miracles for the kingdom within me, breaking through barriers. Success is what I see, understanding my destiny and the power I possess, exposing, empowering my greatness in the eyes. Dunamis woman, taking authority. Dunamis, Dunamis woman, over principalities. Dunamis, Dunamis woman, I am strong. Dunamis, relentless.
Hi, I am Pastor D, and I am the host of this show, Dunamis Woman and Ram Today. Real talk, real life. We endeavor to have real people right here on this show who is truly, truly seeking a personal relationship with a real awesome God.
Amen.
And I am here with a woman of power. You all may have seen her before, and you're going to see her this time, and you may see her again, because she is relentless about change. She is relentless about getting every facet of her life in the will of God.
Yes.
And that will be the one and only, once again, Lynetta Parks, who is not only just a woman, but she is a mother of a son and a daughter. How are you, Lynetta?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I am awesome. I'm awesome. I really wanted you on this show, and they're going to see you again because you're so much of a part of my life, and you just can't eliminate people who are so close to you.
Yeah.
But I love your transparency, and I love your honesty, because we're dealing with real life stuff.
We really are.
That we're trying to prosper and endeavor and to go forward in when God is taking us back to some things.
Yes.
The practical, private domains of our lives.
Oh my goodness.
That we
yes.
as body of believers just think it's up under the blood.
Exactly.
Which the blood does cover us. I don't want to dismiss that. We think that, we don't have to talk about that no more because I've overcome.
Yes.
And realistically, some things we have not overcome.
That's true.
You know.
That's true.
But what I really want us to focus on, because you are a mother and I'm a mother.
Okay.
And oftentimes I can't speak to certain people, particularly women, because they haven't embarked upon motherhood.
Yeah.
You know, they may raise children in steps and aunties and all of that.
Yes.
But when you have a mother and you have a daughter, and our daughters are very parallel. So
Yes.
age plays a part into that too. Because I tell
I
the other
agree.
mothers, just keep it living.
Keep it living.
Keep it
That's
living.
right.
Because oftentimes, I didn't realize it, our daughters need us the older they get.
The older they get.
As opposed to we thinking they're going to get out of the way.
Exactly.
And get the heck up out of our face.
I
You know what I'm
agree.
saying?
Yes.
But as God's original plan is being unfolded, a daughter needs you more the older they get.
I
You know, and I'll never stop being a mother to my daughters.
That's
Rather, they're
right.
60 and I'm 84.
That's right.
You know, they're going to be my daughter. But when I looked it up in the Bible, and I had to critically think, I sit back and think about some things that people just don't explain. What is a daughter? They just put them titles on us. And when I looked it up in the Hebrew, a daughter meant a resident.
Yes.
She occupies a place and reside there. And reside there.
Yes.
And oftentimes we're trying to scootaloo.
Yeah.
Scootaloo,
Yeah.
you know.
Get your own
Get
residence.
your own residence,
Right.
you know. And it's not more so the residence in our home.
Yes.
It's the residence of where they have to always occupy in our life,
In our
that they may be
lives.
able to glean and grow.
Yes.
Green and glow.
Yeah.
You are a mother of a powerful young woman
I am.
that is going through so many transitions.
Yes,
Let's talk
indeed.
about this mother and daughter thing. This
Ooh,
mother and daughter thing.
let's
I'm with you.
talk
I'm with you.
about
I'm with
it.
you,
Let's
girl.
talk
Because
about
I
the
want to
mother
say,
and
what
daughter
the he
thing.
said? This mother-daughter thing.
Wow. Well, talking about the mother and daughter thing, I always have to talk about, I guess, the beginning.
Yes.
Because in the beginning, when I found out that I was pregnant, and I was 18 at the time, still in high school, on my way to graduating, I remember thinking how much I wanted a son. And I really wanted a son because I didn't want a me.
Yeah.
Because I knew me was so
know,
jacked up. You know what I'm saying?
And
I'm
you
like,
got
I
you
don't
and you.
even know how. And I got exactly, right, exactly that. And I really didn't know how I was going to be able to deal with a me. Because I wasn't dealing with me at the time. So I remember going through the whole pregnancy, not really knowing I think they did an ultrasound.
Because back then they didn't tell you the sex like they do now.
And we couldn't even get a definitive. But I remember her coming into the earth, and my first thoughts were just like, oh,
you was like,
what
Florida
am I
ever so
do?
good time.
Yes, I was. damn. And probably would have said it if my mother and some other people weren't in there with me.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, like, what am I going to do? And I remember her father just being like, oh, he was captivated.
He was so
and I
captivated.
was just fearful
That's
and
real
disappointed, and remembering at that time, like, what is this going to be? Is this the foreshadowing of what our relationship is? And in some areas, honestly, it has been. And then especially before understanding Christ and Christ's love and things of that nature, and the dissension, which we know even the Bible talks about that, the dissension. Between the daughter and the mother, and actually in my relationship with my daughter, it started very early on. I remember times at 4, and I'm telling her things like, get away from me and get out of my face and things of that nature, and she's saying things to me that you're like, how are you 4, and what do you know about this, that, and the other? But still, even at that point, being able to identify a power in her, and even admiring some things about her that I had not seen in my life. When I was younger, as a young woman, I was very naive on a lot of levels, very gullible, and my daughter was like, I'm not taking it. I'm not going for it. And even though it annoyed me as far as our relationship, I had a profound respect for that, in her. So now understanding, and even when we learned about residence, I remember you teaching that lesson, and then the Lord specifically telling me that it was residence in my life and in my heart. And I realized that I had only carved a very small place for her. And in that time, I was spending all the time waiting for her to get out. And sadly, she felt it.
Yes.
So now we're at a point now where we're having to build on our relationship from the place of fully welcoming her into a place that I had limited from the very beginning. And then, as you mentioned earlier, I also have a son. So the dynamic even in that, being transparent,
it's different.
Opening a very wide space for him, which showed in actions and everything, and then her still being the first and seeing that. So we're right now in a very transitional place.
I have come to learn, first of all, we as mothers don't know what we're doing.
Not at all.
And seem like when we start learning what to do, they 24, 25, 30, 35, they're getting older, but then you have so much residue that's lingering. You have so many things. But what come to help me to gain an understanding is that I had to believe that God gave me with specificity what I needed through my daughters.
Most definitely.
God gave you what you needed, which really is nothing but showing us ourselves.
That's exactly.
And if we look at it that way, that's why, the enemy loves to keep strife and dissension between a mother and a daughter, because really what you're doing is learning yourself.
This is so true.
You know what I'm saying? You're seeing yourself, and I'm like, yeah,
you know
what I mean? But if I don't want to face myself, it's going to come into stress, strife, argumentative tones.
That's so true.
And then we're victimizing one another. And all I have to do is sit back and look at myself.
That is so true. And then when I think about that, and it was challenging me to look at myself, but then my daughter had a strength on her that was challenging me as well. So the challenge was dual fold, and without understanding it, I spent a lot of time just shutting down. I'm like, I'm not dealing with what God is saying or what you're saying.
And think about it. Every generation is supposed to be stronger and stronger. Every generation is supposed to be more prosperous. However, we end up, if we're not knowing, we're living in a time that generations are growing worse and worse.
True.
But God is shifting that to become stronger and stronger. So in saying that, my daughter, I'm stubborn, but my daughter has a greater force of stubbornness. She have a greater force of this, and that's what we're trying to break down, which is supposed to be that way.
Exactly.
However, it's my responsibility to train her how to utilize that force and that stubbornness against the enemy.
Right.
And we're not against one another.
And then even looking at those things and realizing that what may be perceived as negative is still positive. My daughter's name is Erica. I came to find out probably when she was about 12 or so that her name meant powerful ruler. So the way that she operates, her domain is what it's supposed to be. But then it's like, oh, you're too vocal, you're too this, you're too that. And I remember, a lot of struggle and flack that she got a lot from family and otherwise. And I mean, she definitely had to learn how to develop it. But I remember having to stand in as an advocate because I didn't think that her role was just to be timid,
Yeah.
you know, but that she did have to be able to express it in a way where it was effective and not just overpowering, overbearing, because you got older generations and things
and
like
and
that.
it goes back to communication.
Yeah.
And if we don't understand and teach our children how to communicate, but I can't give them what I don't have and what I don't know.
That's so
and that's
true.
why we're embarking upon our daughter and mother and daughter coaching conference, so
really
we can
looking
coach
forward
one
to
another
that.
from 5 years on and up. But we're going to take a break and we're going to come right back, because I want you to hear more about our mother and daughter coaching conference that's coming up, because rather how old your child is or how young, they still need you. I'm Pastor D, Dunamis Woman. We'll be right back. Hi, I am personally here to take this time to invite you to our upcoming Mother and Daughter Coaching Conference, October 26th. It's the first one, and there's going to be many, but this one you do not want to miss. I fulfill many roles and many professions: pastor, life coach, life strategist, teacher, wife, but the most precious one to me out of all, and I can name so many, and that is a mother. God has blessed me with 2 miracles, and literally I say a miracle, because at one point I could not have children. The doctor told me 26 years ago, you will never conceive a child. Well, Dunamis is a miracle itself, and my first miracle was Allison Fuller, and the second was Ariel Fuller. But God had to teach me some things, and that I want to impart to you. So come on out, October 26th, www.dunamis-woman.com. Register today. God bless you. Well, there you have it. We want you to be a part of our Mother and Daughter Coaching Conference.
Yes.
You know what, Lynetta, this stemmed, because first of all, my mother is deceased.
Yeah.
And she went to the grave with us never really effectively communicating. You know, I came from a life and a home of, which it did have some value.
Right.
Do as I say and not as I do. You know, in that era of time, it was permitted.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
And if I did not grow up in that, I promise you, I would not be the leader that I am today.
Yeah.
You know, but things change,
They have,
and we have to learn how to go with the shift, but not change the principles of God's word.
Right,
And the kingdom of what it stands for. So, with this, if I had known what I know now, I would have even communicated with my children, because we only duplicate. We don't even replicate.
Right.
We duplicate in
Right.
that case what we know, and I would have talked to them differently, but never too late. Because God has given me the opportunity. I'm still here.
Yes,
I'm still here, and
exactly.
I'm adamant. I'm getting this thing.
And praise God, in my case, my daughter is, and even in that, my mom as well. So,
Yes.
And just like I said, things we didn't know, the generations in which we grew up in.
Yeah. And it's not even about how they communicate to me. Oftentimes we're looking at how our children talk to us.
Oh, yes.
But we have to look at how we talk to them.
This is true.
And I'm not talking about being passive and, let me ask you to take out the garbage, Jamie. I'm not talking about that. I'm really talking about effectively communicating our thoughts.
That's right.
And our feelings.
Yes.
And as they develop, you know what I'm saying? I'm a grandmother now, so it's giving me an opportunity to even speak to my 5-year-old granddaughter. You know what I mean? Okay, put your head up, honey. You know what I'm saying? Did you do this because you really meant to spill the milk? You know what I mean? Or was it really an honest mistake? And I'm communicating that with her. And she's like, no, it was an honest mistake. Okay, you're going to clean it up now. Right. And you need to be cognizant of what you're doing. So I'm training her.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, if that was my daughter, 5 years old, she spilled some milk on my leather couch, girl, please.
Side of the room, right? Because that's what we knew.
My words would have came out very harsh,
yes.
But I have to understand she's a tender soul,
Exactly.
And so now and it still doesn't dismiss my daughter. I'm learning how to speak to her at 25. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
When I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have to catch myself. I have to know myself. I have to know my emotions and say, what is required of her? Because she's 25. But still developmentally, she's arrested in some areas where she may be 13 or 14. And I only got to take ownership of that.
And this is exactly why I'm really excited about the conference as well, because these are now tools that we're putting into practice.
Yes.
And now, as you mentioned, 25 for your daughter, my daughter will soon be 25.
Yeah.
Not only is it our responsibility to deal with them from a perspective as a mother, but as a woman.
Yes.
I have a responsibility
as a woman
to teach her.
Yes.
And then just to communicate with her so that she sees me as a woman, but then also to respect her as a woman. She's not my 5-year-old daughter.
Right,
she is
right,
a woman.
right.
And being able to to get to the point where we understand that in one another and then appreciate it, embrace it, and then get to the point of affirming each other in that area. That's a process.
And one of the things that we're going to learn, just to give a little snippet, is that there's a difference between, but it's all one and the same, but how do we differentiate the girl, the female, and the woman?
Oh, yes.
The transitions.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because first of all, there was one identity that should never have been there. That we adopted that and made them see themselves as that, and that's that little girl.
Indeed.
And it's unfortunately, some women who are married and have husbands that if the husband don't do what they want them to do, the little girl manifests. It's gonna make the men want to be there. They're like, what? You know what I'm saying? And it's the little girl manifests. And so now they're tiptoeing around the little girl trying to keep peace in the home. And it's so distorted.
It is.
It's so distorted. And so we're looking for God to bless us in a land of perversion.
My God.
A distortion. That's what perversion is.
That's all it is.
It's distorted. And when he's saying you got to get this thing, and even though you're in the land, but the land that I sent you to, according to Deuteronomy 7:1, is a land that you will defeat it.
That's right.
And you will not defeat the Canaanites. That's that land of perversion, and the Hittites and the Hivites,
Yes.
And those are the practical things that we have to know how to bring the biblical terms, the original meaning, bring it into self-application.
Exactly.
When do I'm dealing with the land of the Canaanite? When am I dealing that? And I ain't talking about externally. I'm talking about internally.
Internally.
I'm talking about in my
definitely.
home. You know what I mean?
Just even as you were speaking of that, and I was thinking about, and the term when you talk about little girl, and then always daddy's little girl, and then I think about how that's what I wanted to be when I was younger, and then now my daughter has her dad, and her dad is there and totally captivated with her, but because my little girl had not been dealt with, then the issues of jealousy that came as a result of that.
You better speak that
so
thing.
Here I have a baby, and I'm jealous of a baby because the father is there because of what I didn't have. It was just
and girl, I almost slapped you right there. Because, people, we don't believe that. And because God has blessed me to be able to sit in the private domains of so many mothers and daughters and women through my profession as a therapist, it's the little girl there, and we're dealing with the jealousy. It's so many women that don't want to admit that I'm jealous of what my daughter is getting from my husband, which is their dad. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm saying right here, girl, if I just had my dad, if I could go pull him up from the grave, and sit on his lap, then so many daughters, want from their father, and the mother's not dealing with these things because the father may have molested them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the mother don't know how to deal with those things, and they don't know how to be with their daughter, or if it's a rape or something like that. And so the enemy just using all these little schemes and methods, to really inflict us, and we can't have a wholesome relationship. I
agree.
And I really commend you for admitting that. You know what I mean? Because what you didn't have in your father, and then you want that for your daughter.
Yes, most definitely. And that was the contradiction. Because I did want it for her, and I longed for it, but then when I saw it being exhibited, then I didn't know how to deal with it.
And it wasn't her. You didn't want to deal with yourself.
Not at all.
You didn't want to deal with yourself.
Not at all.
And it's sad because many women keep their daughters from their fathers because they wasn't a man for them.
That's true.
And my children's father, he might not have been the man or the husband that I realized I could have utilized for my womanhood, but he sure was an excellent, and still is an excellent father.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
My daughter has been blessed.
And she has been blessed. She's been blessed. I'm thinking about your daughter, Erica Edwards, and when you was talking about what her first name meant, Erica means powerful ruler. And then I commend you because you gave her father's last name.
I did.
And so with that, she failed to realize that she is a ruler of wealth, because that's what Edward means.
Wow.
A protector and a guardian of wealth.
Wow.
So when you put the power to rule wealth, oh, come on now.
That's awesome.
And she don't really understand her true identity.
Right.
But you never knew that to teach her
exactly.
that. I don't even know if her dad knew all that to teach her that.
Say, I hope he's watching.
You know what I mean?
The tape.
But her attacks are coming from her father's enemies. And I don't even know if our fathers know who their enemies are. You know what I mean? What we as the mother is dealing with is the father's enemy.
That's right.
But the enemy want us to think that we're enemies against one another.
One another, yes.
And only to not to understand that it's working.
That's right.
Those weapons are prospering.
They
but
are.
now we have to understand that in order for us to really quote Isaiah 54:17, no weapon.
No weapon formed.
Formed
Exactly.
against me shall prosper, because I know who this enemy is.
Exactly.
So the power to rule and be a guardian of great wealth. That's why she struggles financially. And now her struggles financially become your struggles, because now you got to take care of this 24-year-old. And in your mind, you saying, come on now, real talk.
Okay, leave the residence. Your residency has expired.
You
That's
see what I'm saying?
Real talk. Yeah.
And the Bible says her residencies never expire.
Exactly.
But she has to get up and learn how to fight.
Exactly.
She got to get up and learn how to fight who she is.
Exactly.
She's not fighting you.
That's right.
Because you want to go real talk, Lynetta?
Let's talk real.
Let's talk real.
Let's
All the
talk
men
real.
that you slept with,
Ooh.
God
Real
allowed
talk.
that sperma out of the many when he ejaculated to formulate in that sperm meat, that egg of
Exactly.
yours, to create this powerful dunamis woman.
Indeed.
I think we need to take another break on that
I
one.
think
We're going to
we
leave y'all with a
should.
Salah moment, as David says in the song. Salah. Just marinate on that.
Yes.
Because your daughter is here, not by your choice, but God's choice, by the man that he wanted it to be produced from. We'll be right back. I'm Pastor D, Dunamis Woman.
Are you a parent who feels like your daughter's just growing up way too fast and learning about the world so quickly? Are you a student who needs to understand, what am I going to do with my life? What school am I going to go to? What is my life purpose? Or are you a girl who just wants to understand boys and dealing with parents and school life drama? Well, I'm here to tell you that I have an amazing organization called Dunamis Woman Empowerment for girls who are 13 through 17 who want to understand who they are, to have real talk about real life issues. And so you will be experiencing a great, awesome workshop with me, myself, to help enlighten you, to help encourage you, but also challenge you to think about your surroundings, think about who you want to be, think about what you want in your life, preventing you from being a victim to your surroundings. So I encourage you to join me and go to our website, www.dunamis-woman.com, to learn more about me and learn more about the workshop and the things that we have to offer for you to really become the woman that you want to become. And if you believe that you are a woman of power, please don't forget to stop at our shop and get a shirt just like this, a Dunamis Woman. You are a Dunamis woman. You're a woman of power, a woman of purpose, and a woman of passion for who God has created you to be. So wear the apparel and join the force as a Dunamis woman.
Well, Lynetta, we're back.
We are back. We are back.
Oh my God. I threw it out there. You took it. Threw it out there. You took it. Boy, you're a Dunamis woman.
Cannot be afraid.
You cannot be afraid. That's why you are a woman of power. You're in Leadership Institute.
Yes.
You love the truth.
Yes.
And it's the truth that will what?
Make you free.
Make you
It's
free.
making me free.
It's making you free. You know, we have the daughters that we assigned. So I ain't going to leave you out there alone. Okay? Because I used to ask God, God, out of all the men that I done been with sexually, why him? Yeah. But I had to come to an understanding that my daughter has been assigned as a curse breaker.
Yes.
And she's been assigned in the earth to break that curse off from that lineage, which is perversion.
That's right.
And yours has been assigned. So as we leave this setting for right here today, speak to the mother and daughters out there, you know, coming to the conference, being a part of coaching. You got about 2 and 2. We're going to do Chuck Willery on Love Connection. 2 and 2.
2 and 2.
2 and 2.
Mothers, my sisters, it is critical, it is really critical to begin to develop these relationships with your daughters, with our daughters, and to see our daughters as who God gave them. They were assigned. They were put on this earth to occupy a place in our hearts and our souls. They were sent to develop us. They were sent to show us us. They weren't sent to argue. They weren't sent to fight over clothes and fight over guys. Let me tell you something really imperative. What you refuse to confront, you will never conquer. I struggled so much in my life as a young person because I was molested. I was sexually violated by a family member. And because I chose not to deal with it, and then after years of not dealing with it, masked it by religion, my daughter suffered at the same fate.
Yes, yes.
It is so important. It's so very critical that in this season we begin to open our eyes to the truth. Allow God to open your eyes to the truth of who your daughter really is. I promise you that if you do that, then there will be a passion that will ignite in you to help her discover that, regardless of the situation, regardless of the attitude, regardless of the pressures. You will gladly do it because you want her to be developed. You want her to be whole, and you desire for her to be coupled up with a man of power, that her life can fulfill its ultimate purpose. God is able to do it. I'm a living witness. Now, we are redeeming time. There are times when it's hard. There are times when the transition is great, but it's so worth it. My daughter is worth it. Your daughter is worth it.
Yes. Whether they're 4 years old, whether they're 5 years old.
Yes.
Look, let me tell you something. I'm just going to be frank with you. Out here in these schools, you know, I had a man who was a part of Change Life Leadership Institute, and he was like, oh, his daughter was 9. And he was like, oh, I don't know if, you know, you too raw, you too real. I don't want to know if my daughter want to hear all that. If she don't hear it in the church,
That's right.
where is she going to hear it? Because
No, that's
out there,
the truth.
they talking raw, they
Exactly.
talking real.
Yes,
A
they
rapist have no respecter of person.
That's the truth.
You know, and like you said, by that faith, the very faith that his wife was dealing with, it could come upon his daughter. And I
That's
told
the
him that
truth.
real talk. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, so it is never too young. You need to talk to your daughter right now about where a man can't touch her, what she should do,
That's
because
the
the
truth.
enemy has fortified himself
That's
against
the
the
truth.
kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven suffered violence, but the violent, the militant, we are taking it back
Yes,
by
we are.
force.
Yes,
Nettie,
we
I'm so excited for you, and we want you to come on out. I'm Pastor D, Real Talk, right here, 1855 Be Dunamis. I want you to be a part of our lives so you can sit right here and tell of the glory of God for you and your daughter. Have a good one.
Amen.